What's up, guys? Today you're catching me in a 2008 Lamborghini Gallardo, and we are going to go get pictures for the website since this is a new car that we got. But I wanted to take you guys on a drive and tell you my thoughts regarding why I believe that the older exotics are more fun to drive, in my opinion. And this is a perfect example. I've driven plenty of Huracans, and I prefer the Gallardo over the Huracan. Number one, the hydraulic steering, and that's one of the immediate things that you'll notice when you drive one, is the steering in the hand. It feels a lot more substantial than a Huracan steering does. The Huracan is just way too light. Even just from stop and not moving, the steering feels very heavy, and you can immediately tell it's hydraulically assisted. You're gonna feel a lot more confident. The one thing that you will notice, obviously, is this is a first generation e-gear car, so the e-gear transmission is not going to be the most smooth compared to the dual clutch. But if you're buying an exotic car, you're not really going for what is the best daily driver. You want what's going to be engaging and what's going to evoke emotion out of you. Also, by the way, this car rides really rough, and it's a convertible, so you're going to see the car shake about, especially because it's a convertible and there's not as much structural rigidity. So far, we're driving, we're not even in sport mode or anything, and I mean, it's perfectly doable. However, definitely the transmission is clunky. So let's put it into sport mode. By the way, there are sticky buttons on this Gallardo, which I thought was just a Ferrari problem, but obviously not. Just small, you know, sticky buttons. And the reverse button is like all the way over here for some reason, which is weird. Sorry guys, the camera completely fell off because of how stiff this car is and how much the windshield shakes where the camera is mounted. Yeah, okay, so immediately off the bat, obviously the transmission is going to be a little clunky. Yeah, but if you lift up a little, it's not bad. The downshifts have a nice blip to them. Okay, the brakes aren't the best, for sure. You know, this is a nice car. I can definitely appreciate this. It's certainly not going to be as fast as a Huracan by any standard, but it still feels really planted to the ground, and I would definitely do this as a first exotic. My preference would be the LP 560, just because of the looks and how it looks closer to an Aventador with the headlights and taillights, but I wouldn't mind this either. Just realize you're going to be in for a tough ride, and you should definitely have a daily driver if you're gonna buy a car like this. This should not be your daily car whatsoever. Oh my, okay. I don't know. I thought I would really enjoy the shifts, the hard shifts on that, but I just kind of feels a little weird. That's no blip. Not bad. When you blip it, when you lift off the throttle, the shifts become even more smooth. Kind of like a manual. Again, we're not going crazy fast. We're just driving this thing to get some pictures, and we're seeing what this feels like. Definitely feels very exotic. People, you know, when you drive it, you're going to see people bring out the camera phones and all of this stuff. It's a red Lamborghini, especially this one. And if you guys are interested in this one specifically, the wheels are amazing. We just got it here at Lamborghini Sterling or Washington Exotics, and you guys absolutely, if you're in the market, you need to check it out. It has beautiful white interior, red contrast stitching. The wheels are my favorite part, and the color, you don't really see a lot of red Gallardos, so it's one of the better colors. Shifts are definitely a little bit clunky, but honestly, because I have the Giulia, if I was to do this in 2 years and buy my first exotic supercar, which would be either this car or maybe even like a Ferrari 360, it's not unbearable. However, don't use this as a daily driver because you're going to get annoyed. Because I have a daily driver, because I also have an E36, which I need to build, I could definitely see this as a third edition. And if you are in the market, you probably already have another car. If you want a super engaging vehicle to drive, I would suggest that has a little bit more of that analog feel than the Huracans do or anything like that, then for sure this car is the way to go. You're definitely going to have to watch out for the clutch, and I think there's options like Kevlar clutches which last a little bit longer, but it's no reason to not purchase this car as your first exotic because it's just a Gallardo or something like that and you've seen it plenty of times. It still feels like a Lambo. This feels like a Lambo. It sounds like a Lambo. And it's rough like a Lambo, as you guys can tell. Look at the freaking camera, dude. Really slow shifts, not the best. Downshifts are nice, as you guys can tell. Steering is so much better, holy God. All right guys, so now the Gallardo is pictured and we are going to head back. One of the main things I completely forgot to talk about is the feeling and sense of quality in this car that you do not get with modern exotics. The smell, the touch of the leather. These are all things that if you've been in a early 2000s exotic, like a Ferrari 360, like a Maserati Cambia Corsa 4200 GT, or a Gallardo, you'll notice they all have a very similar smell with this Italian leather and feel as well. And with the advent of Audi, obviously Audi had been a part of Lamborghini at this point, but with Audi really becoming a part of Lamborghini and kind of homogenizing all of their product, you just don't get the same feeling and sense of quality in the materials than you would in an older exotic like this. And that's one of the things that are immediately apparent if you've been in an older car versus one of these newer exotics. The materials itself and how it's just laid out just doesn't look as premium as this. And so that's definitely one of those things that I enjoy. Let's see if we can put the top down. By the way, guys, it is ridiculously hot outside today, so I don't know how long I'll be able to bear this. Probably gonna have to put our windows up for the volume. Yeah, so I just think that the quality in vehicles that come from like the early 2000s to mid 2000s are just 10 times better than vehicles that came in the late 2010s to now the 2020s. And one of the things you'll have to remember is if you're standing at a stop sign for a little bit too long, it will pop back in neutral. It's not super fast. That's not the point of this car, but it sounds really amazing. Very exotic. And since this is the 5.0 liter, not the 5.2, this is, I believe, the even firing Gallardo, which makes it sound insane if you do headers and like an exhaust on it, an X-pipe or something. Yeah, I definitely recommend lifting off the throttle a little. Yeah, this car definitely still is very buttoned down to the ground. That could be because of the all-wheel drive, but it doesn't feel sketchy. It doesn't feel sketchy at all. And this car isn't fast, really. So you can really enjoy that engine note without going crazy speed, which is one of the things I really enjoy about older exotics compared to newer exotics. With newer exotics, you have to be going insane speeds in order to enjoy them. Maybe not like the Revuelto or Aventador, but with the forced induction, newer supercars, you definitely got to be going a lot faster to enjoy them than these slower, naturally aspirated supercars. Yeah, this car just has a different emotional level. Yeah, this car sounds, oh my God, it sounds amazing. I don't know if this has a aftermarket exhaust, but it sings, it sings, it sings. I love the steering wheel, by the way. It feels really, really good in the hand. There is no buttons, which honestly, I don't mind buttons. I like buttons on a steering wheel. That's why I have my Giulia. It has that start-stop button on the steering wheel. But the feel of this steering wheel in the hands is precisely what I'm looking for in an exotic. These newer vehicles, BMWs with their chunky ass steering wheel, I don't mess with. I don't gel with. This has perfect indentations for your thumbs. We need to go back to when we were doing things really, really well. Yeah, if you lift off at the perfect time, it just becomes a smooth shift, which adds more engagement, guys. If you want an engaging car, a dual clutch isn't necessarily going to do it for you like this would. The shift times aren't that bad, honestly. Obviously, it takes longer to shift than a dual clutch, but if you do it the right way, like a manual, then it shifts perfectly fine. But yeah, guys, that's the main reason why I prefer these older exotics compared to the newer ones. It's just much more raw, engaging to drive, and it just evokes more emotion out of you. Again, this vehicle is being sold here at Washington Exotics. Go check it out if you're in the market for your first exotic. This is one of the best choices that you can make, honestly. Especially because, you know, the platform isn't that unreliable compared to other exotics of this time period. So yeah, guys, that's a video, and let me know what you think, Gallardo or Huracan. And if you guys are a fan of the Gallardo, which one? Is it the first gen like this one with the 5.0, or is it going to be the LP560 like I like with the 5.2 liter, which now with the Valvetronic exhaust, you can get a very similar sound in the 5.2 liter like you have in this 5.0 liter. So yeah, that's the video, guys. Till next time.